It was one of West Michigan's most infamous crimes, but now the convicted killer serving a life sentence has been granted parole.
In 1997, a jury convicted 16-year-old Federico Kiko Cruz of first-degree murder for the savage beating and beheading of a Grand Rapids area teenager named David Crawford. Cruz was sentenced to mandatory life in prison.
But that sentence was upended when the U.S. Supreme Court struck down mandatory life for juveniles. Now, according to the Michigan Department of Corrections, Cruz has been granted parole.
News 8's Adriana Doria went to Sparta and talked with neighbors who wonder why this is happening.
It's just a kick in the gut when somebody can do something like that. David doesn't get a second chance, but Kiko does. How is that?
Jason Saygraves was just 12 years old and lived right next door to the terror. And now, nearly 30 years later, it's something he says he can't forget.
I saw some stuff in that situation that still sticks with me. You can't mentally heal from that.
Federico Kiko Cruz was 16 when he killed 17-year-old David Crawford, severed his head, and recorded himself mutilating the remains.
But I don't know if I'd call it ritualistic or satanic at this stage of the game, but it was bizarre, to say the least.
Convicted in 1997, Cruz has been serving life without parole at the Handlin Correctional Facility in Ionia. It seemed that even after the nation's high court struck down mandatory life for juveniles, Cruz would never get out.
I never thought in a million years he would get out after what he did.
In 2016, the Kent County Prosecutor's Office filed motions to impose no parole sentences on 13 defendants serving life terms for murder committed as teens. Prosecutor Chris Becker said Cruz topped the list. In November of 2018, a judge ruled that the, quote, savage butchery of the crime and a history of antisocial behavior precludes Federico Cruz from ever leaving prison. But in August of 2023, Cruz was given a shorter prison sentence and an opportunity for release.
The violence of this crime at 16 years old, and it's just not right. It's just not safe.
Cruz is now 45 years old and has been in prison for about 27 years. He's expected to get out of prison at the end of March.
I feel so horrible for the Crawfords because of the pain and suffering they have experienced because of what I did.
Despite the decades of time that have passed in Sparta, this crime's still very fresh for this community. Neighbors saying knowing Cruz will be back out brings them right back to that terrifying time.
It's his fault. He doesn't need to be out. He doesn't need to be. There's no good that's gonna come from it.
Feelings not shared with everyone in that neighborhood.
Hope the best for the guy, you know. He was young. We all made stupid mistakes when we were kids, and you know, this one's hard to take, but he definitely can be forgiven, I believe.
It's now a waiting game until Cruz's return to society, leaving Jason shocked by how this could have happened in the first place.
I did not think that our system would fail us to that extent, no. When he had his life sentence reduced, that alone shocked me. For what he did and how he did it, I don't know how anybody in the justice system can look at that and say, he's redeemed, he's okay to go back into public. It is not logical to me at all.
In Grand Rapids, Adriana Doria, News 8.